welcome to Inside South Asia. I'm Bhairavi Singh. The curtains have drawn on the most keenly watched elections in the world, and while the BJP-led NDA has made it past the 272 majority mark, the years of one-party dominance are over. The BJP has to contend with coalition dharma. On the show tonight, we get you all the highlights from the elections in India, the winners, the losers, the campaigns and the kingmakers. Also on the show, Maldives has banned Israeli tourists. We get you all the latest. First, the headlines. While a decade after the Narendra Modi-led Bharatiya Janata Party brought back a single-party system to the national stage, India is to have coalitions on both sides of the opposition-government divide. These elections have showed more than anything else that the power to accept or reject remains in the hands of the people. Here's more.
The picture in 2019 gives way to that of 2024, and the sea change says so much. The NDA fell from its record high Lok Sabha seat tally of 337 in 2019 to 294 in 2024. And there's a strong opposition in place, from 120 in 2019 to a respectable 232 this time. As electronic voting machines gave out trends on Tuesday morning, it soon became clear that the exit polls across the board have been way off the mark. Scoreboard 2024 punctures the complete concentration of power in Modi that had been the hallmark of the last 10 years of the Modi government. The India bloc that had played its cards right had turned into a force for the Modi government to reckon with. Looking more closely at states that pulled Team Modi down, these same states had been the gateways to power in 2019. This time they lifted the India bloc's tally. Big blow for the BJP in UP, reduced to the second largest party with 33 compared to 62 in 2019, and big inroads for Akhilesh Yadav's Samajwadi Party that got 37. Among key seats the BJP lost in Uttar Pradesh, Faizabad constituency that includes Ayodhya 4 months after the Ram Mandir was consecrated. Amethi returned to the Congress fold. Maharashtra was considered a state which might make or break the BJP's fortunes in 2024 Lok Sabha elections, and it held true to that, bringing the BJP down 9 seats from 23 in 2019. Uddhav Thackeray and Sharad Pawar went into the elections battling big odds, with their party split and splinter groups moving to the NDA fold. But results clearly showed that the people had decisively backed the original leaders over their rivals. And in West Bengal, where the BJP made a huge push to maximize seat count in a state where it has slowly but surely built a base, Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee held her own. Banerjee crafted a campaign that focused on a connect with the state's electorate, especially rural women. These are the two men who turn out kingmakers. Chandrababu Naidu's 16 parliamentary seats from Andhra Pradesh and Nitish Kumar's 12 seats are invaluable for the NDA to stay in power now. PM Narendra Modi's victory lap at the BJP headquarters didn't quite have the same elan as previous ones that had showcased an undefeatable air. The party on its own remained far from the majority mark, but the NDA had made it there, and Modi was PM again for a record-equaling third term. The parliamentary parties of both the BJP and the NDA alliance unanimously confirmed that.
NDA की लगातार तीसरी बार सरकार बननी तय है.
But hugely distinct from anything like it in the past decade, the opposition is preparing strategies for the road ahead. The newly muscled India bloc parties held meetings in New Delhi, attended by their leaders from around the country, and spirits are up. all of which underlines the turning point that these elections have proved to be.
Now, key highlight of this election has been leaders who had been written off but have emerged strong. From Chandrababu Naidu to Rahul Gandhi, here's a profile of election 2024's so-called comeback men.
The first comeback man on our list, Chandrababu Naidu of the Telugu Desam Party. Naidu, referred to as CBN, is presently leader of the opposition in the Andhra Pradesh Assembly, though the new results suggest a massive turnaround in the offing. With Chief Minister Jagan Mohan Reddy's YSRCP falling by the wayside, and hard. Jagan's getting Naidu arrested for alleged corruption last year seems to have boomeranged. 2024 is a huge reversal to big losses CBN faced in the 2019 Assembly elections when he lost power to the YSR Congress Party. Naidu's political career goes all the way back to 1973, having played a key role in his party since the 1980s. He's been Chief Minister thrice. A fourth term awaits. And not just the state scene, Naidu has a big role to play in the national picture too. As part of the National Democratic Alliance, where the BJP is on thin ice in the numbers game, CBN's TDP has emerged a kingmaker. The party contested 17 of the 25 Lok Sabha seats, and results say it has got support from across the state. Its seats are going to be critical to the NDA crossing the majority mark. Naidu had quit the NDA alliance in 2018, blaming PM Modi for Andhra's financial troubles. He returned to the NDA fold in March 2024, days before the elections were announced. And the rest, as they say, is history. Naidu's story reiterates again that nothing is permanent in politics. Almost certainly the man of the moment, at least for the India bloc. The three-time parliamentarian from Kannauj in Uttar Pradesh is the man behind the Samajwadi Party's revived fortunes and the possible nemesis for the BJP in Uttar Pradesh. Akhilesh Yadav's Samajwadi Party had dipped to just 5 seats in 2019. Many termed it the end of the road, both for Yadav and his party. The 2024 outcome turns all that around, stressing again that there's no such thing as a last word in politics. Numbers clearly say he had it in him to bring about the turnaround. There were signals that he had started to come across as an unflamboyantly serious and sober politician. Realpolitik calculations and lessons from the past served him well this time. He expanded his MY or Muslim Yadav vote to PDA, backwards Dalits and minorities. SP tickets for seats worked out to be well calculated. Only 4 Yadavs, members of his own family, got tickets. Tickets to only 4 Muslims, knowing full well that Muslims would vote for the SP in any case in direct fights with the BJP. This made it easier for the SP to divide votes of other castes. His campaign focused on showing the BSP as a vote cutter that helped the BJP. Unlike in 2019, he did not tie up with the BSP. He did not shy away from giving tickets to sons and daughters of prominent leaders on many seats in Purvanchal. As Akhilesh emerged out of the shadow of his uncle Shivpal Yadav over the last few years, the Samajwadis under Akhilesh put up a spirited fight against the combined might of the Narendra Modi-Yogi Adityanath machine. He waged open attacks against the Yogi government. It's come to fruition for him in 2024. And third, there can be no refusing Rahul Gandhi due kudos and credit. Few politicians would have had the kind of fun poked at them as Rahul Gandhi over the last decade. The National Democratic Alliance almost made that part of policy to ensure against his rise. But Gandhi has continued to chip away at the old bloc, keeping up the offensive against Prime Minister Modi, outreaches in areas of strength and longer-term political calculations. And it's paid dividends. For one, in the numbers, taking the Congress parliamentary tally from the 52 it had hit in 2019 to close to double that this time. Gandhi has registered outright victories in the 2 constituencies Rai Bareli and Wayanad from where he contested. In Uttar Pradesh's Rai Bareli, an old family bastion, Gandhi achieved a gigantic victory. The victory margin over BJP's Dinesh Pratap Singh is nearly 300,000 votes. That's the highest in the state's history, and also nearly double his mother Sonia Gandhi's victory margin in 2019. In his other Lok Sabha seat, Wayanad in Kerala, Rahul Gandhi is the incumbent. Despite that, he won by a margin of over 200,000 votes. With numbers showing strong improvements for his party over last time, there's little doubting that Rahul Gandhi poses a challenge that Prime Minister Modi may not have expected. How far he can take it remains to be seen.
Now, the geopolitical tussle around the Israel-Hamas war has spilled over to South Asia. The ball was set rolling on June 2nd when the Maldives banned Israelis from visiting the country, citing atrocities in Gaza. A day later, Israel retaliated, asking its citizens to stay away from the island nation. The Maldivian tourism industry, already bruised and battered, is likely to be hit further.
With a population of just about 380,000, Maldives is Asia's smallest country. Renowned for its pristine white beaches and secluded resorts, the island nation has also become a geopolitical hotspot. On Sunday, the Maldivian government announced that it is prohibiting the entry of Israeli tourists into the island nation. The decision by the 45-year-old Maldivian president Mohammed Mizu came in solidarity with the people of Gaza, who have been at the receiving end of incessant airstrikes and assaults by Israeli defense forces for almost 8 months. The next day, Israeli embassy in India, in a post on social media platform X, mentioned the beautiful beaches of Goa, Kerala, Lakshadweep, and Andaman and Nicobar Islands as possible alternatives to the Maldives. Interestingly, Tel Aviv is following in New Delhi's footsteps in dealing with Maldives. Relations between India and Maldives had nosedived after the election of President Mizu last September. First came the order for the small Indian army contingent to leave. Then the derogatory remarks against Indian Prime Minister Modi over pictures of his visit to Lakshadweep Island. India announced a boycott of tourism to the Maldives. Tourism from India dipped 38% in the first 3 months of this year as compared to the same period last year. India's own tourist spots like Lakshadweep benefited as a result of the boycott. The impact on tourism-linked revenue in the Maldives became evident soon, and firefighting operations had to take off. Last month, the Maldivian foreign minister had urged Indians to visit, and now Israel walks down the same path. For a century, heavily reliant on tourism, the Israeli ban, in addition to the Indian boycott, could really sting the Maldives.
While tens of thousands of children in Afghanistan remain affected by ongoing flash floods, especially in the northern provinces of Baghlan and Badakhshan and the western province of Ghor. That's what UNICEF has stated in its latest report. Up next, we get you the story of children and people who have been affected by the sheer destruction.
One of the many horrific tales left behind by the Afghanistan floods. This one is told by 11-year-old Hajra and her family. She has been living at a neighbor's house since the floods battered her house.
داری خانمان کتابچه من کتابچه من کتاب نوشته کنیم بتام برسیم برس به درس خوندن میتونم.
The ongoing flash floods have affected tens of thousands of children in Afghanistan, especially in the north and the west. The United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund, or the UNICEF, says the extreme weather has all the hallmarks of an intensifying climate crisis. Some of these affected areas had experienced drought last year. The May floods claimed 400 lives, including a dozen children. Over 7,800 homes were damaged, and over 5,000 families were displaced.
I saw the floods hit neighboring houses. I was barely able to rush toward the upper side of the house to a side room in the corner. I saw the children but wasn't able to reach them.
I was standing stuck in the floods, desperately trying to rescue my baby. My child was floating in the water.
Last week, an international charity, Save the Children's report indicated that 6.5 million children in Afghanistan could experience crisis-level hunger in 2024. Nearly 3 out of 10 Afghan children will face crisis or emergency levels of hunger this year. The main factors for this are the immediate impact of floods, the long-term effects of drought, and the return of Afghans from neighboring Pakistan and Iran. More than 557,000 Afghans have returned since September of 2023. Victims of a Pakistani crackdown on foreigners who Islamabad alleges are in the country illegally. That includes 1.7 million Afghans. Afghanistan ranks 15th among 163 nations in the UNICEF's 2021 Children's Climate Risk Index. This means that not only are the climate and environmental shocks and stresses predominant, but children are particularly vulnerable compared to anywhere else in the world.
All right, that's a wrap. We will see you next week. Until then, goodbye. Good night.